Wrestling fans around the corner, around the world, I'm Dan Marty.
And I'm John Cena Sr.
Johnny, we made it to March. Can you believe it?
We're there. It's good.
Is that white stuff finally going to start to
It's starting to go down now, but you know what? March always comes in like a lion, goes out like a lamb. I tell you, Mother Nature's got one more surprise.
Well, maybe it's Cecil the Lion's land party. You never know.
Oh, wow, whatever.
We'll be back with Wrestling Insider's Fabulous Fridays now. Wrestling fans around the corner, around the world, I'm Dan Marty.
And I'm Mr. USA WWE Hall of Famer Tony Atlas.
The road to WrestleMania has begun. Wrestling fans are looking to add to their man caves. You got to see what we have in the eBay store.
Check it out.
Support Wrestling Insiders and keep wrestling legends working on eBay. Get this WWE NXT TakeOver War Games 2020 11x14 limited edition autographed poster signed by everyone on the event, number 23 of only 100 made. Includes signatures from the Undisputed Era, Johnny Gargano, Damian Priest, Tommaso Ciampa, Timothy Thatcher, Io Shirai, Tony Storm, Rhea Ripley, Dexter, Loomis, and more. Comes with authentication hologram on the back of the poster. Also comes with mystery autographed 8x10 and an on-air shout-out from WWE Hall of Famer Mr. USA Tony Atlas on Wrestling Insiders at your house. Get it now. Boston Wrestling Sports and the MWF explodes into a new year of unknown with professional wrestling content galore, and we need you to join our family. Every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. after we review the previous night's Monday Night Raw, it's Wrestling Insiders at your house with the unpredictable WWE Hall of Famer, Mr. USA Tony Atlas. Wednesday nights after WWE, NXT, and AEW at 10 p.m., you never know who's going to show up on Wrestling Insiders Special Edition. Every Thursday night at 10 p.m. after our NXT and Dynamite review, it's Marty Jannetty's No Holds Barred Sex, Drugs, and Rock and Roll journey through the 80s and 90s on Wrestling Insiders Party with Marty. Friday nights after the lights go down at the Thunderdome on SmackDown, it's John Cena Sr.'s Wrestling Insiders Fabulous Fridays. Plus, look for classic clips, bonus live episodes, pay-per-view watch-alongs, and more. If you want early, ad-free access to all of our Wrestling Insider talk shows, our acclaimed studio shoot interview DVD library, and to help keep wrestling legends working during the worst of times, for less than a cup of coffee at Starbucks, join our growing family at patreon.com/Boston Wrestling. Expect the unexpected in 2021.
This is Mick Foley.
This is Harley Race.
This is Shelton Benjamin.
This is Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff.
This is the Monster Abyss.
And this is Daniel Bryan.
This is JBL, and you're watching the MWF.
Be there live.
Wrestling fans around the corner, around the world, I'm Dan Marty, along with my Friday night delight partner in crime, Mr. John Cena Sr. Johnny, pleasure to have you back. We had a very well-received, well-debated episode about AEW last week. This week, the fans want to talk a little WWE as the road to WrestleMania has begun. We're about just a hair over 2 weeks away from the Fastlane pay-per-view. I know the fans are hoping you may be able to join us live that night yet again with the lovely blonde. You're already saying no.
Once is enough.
Really? All right, well, is there anything the fans could do? Maybe apologize to you.
Once is enough.
Well, you heard it from John Cena Sr. himself. I guess the fast lane, he's going to be on his out to Los Angeles to visit the set of Ms. and Mrs., but that remains to be seen.
Haven't been asked yet.
Johnny, one that has really got me a little hot under the collar, I don't know about you, but for the second time in less than a year now, we have one of the top female superstars in WWE leaving in the middle of a major period for their character is Lacey Evans, with child. And the worst of times is it affected not just what she's doing, but those that she's working with on what is a very slim female roster to begin with, as I believe there's about 8 women on Raw to begin with. Johnny, I tell you, I went wild. I think this was during coronavirus time, so you weren't with us, but the whole Becky Lynch thing pissed me off. It pissed me off big time, Johnny. Here's why. And I think this is one thing you and I will agree on.
having kids in your life is probably the best thing that'll ever happen to you, unless you're a really strange human being.
I would agree, 100%.
But when a billion-dollar entity builds their company around you for a year and a half, castrates your partner, who was the world champion that destroyed Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 35 to try and get you over, and then, well, whoops. You know what? Here's how I would like to see it done if I'm Vince McMahon or if I'm running a wrestling company. If you want me to portray you as one of the top superstars in this company, and you feel the time in your life has come to be with child and grow your family, a couple of months ahead of time, you say, Mr. McMahon, Mr. Cena, Mr. Marty, this is what I'd like to do. I said, well, we thank you very much for letting us know ahead of time. Let us develop a storyline to get someone new over, after we just spent a year and a half trying to get you over, as opposed to the nonsense that they did, which was the night after Money in the Bank. Becky Lynch came out with the, to make her big announcement, you know, she's the man, she's the mother, she's this, she's that. Then after treating Asuka like an absolute imbecile, probably the best female talent in the company, and just have it going, yeah, 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 oh, ooh, yeah, yeah.
Party with Marty.
And, oh, well, here, and then she hands her the Money in the Bank briefcase and the titles in it, and there it is. It's Asuka's now, without Becky Lynch even taking a pinfall to try and get someone new over. I thought that was, accidents happen, but if it was planned, I thought it was very disrespectful to the company. I thought as a professional, accidental or intentional, I thought it was very disrespectful to the company that, think of every female that laid down to make her the man. That could have been someone else.
What was that word?
The man.
Laid down?
Laid down to take a 1, 2, 3.
Oh, I understand. Do the job.
Yeah, I didn't mean anything else. Yeah, think of all the women that laid down to put Becky Lynch over in the spot she was in. That could have been someone that's actively with the company right now, perhaps as over as Becky Lynch was. And I can debate how over I thought Becky Lynch was. But anyway, you know I'm not a huge fan of the women's wrestling a lot of the time, because it's just, on its own platform, I think it would come across so much better than when on the same show is the men's wrestling. Because the men's wrestling, generally, it's laid in a lot stiffer, a lot tighter, and it looks a lot more realistic than when, you know, Sasha wants to do her, you know, tributes to Eddie Guerrero and Macho Man, and Bayley wants to do the cosplay moves, and they all want to cry, and they all want to hug, and But now you have one of the few feuds that really got me hooked over the past month or so. And I don't understand how they're trying to still present Charlotte as the babyface, where she was very, I thought, disrespectful to her dad in all the back and forth vignettes. But the Nature Boy did not like Charlotte's attitude. So what did the man do? The Nature Boy. Woo! He got the lady, Lacey Evans.
She's with child.
And it lit Charlotte on fire. She was so pissed off about it. I thought that was maybe the best women's feud they've done of this generation. I thought that had so much potential with this iconic, legendary dad, with his daughter now arguably the top female superstar active in the company, now running off with one of the other younger, some may argue even a little prettier female talents. And then what do you do when you finally shoot the big angle where Rick and Charlotte break up from each other? Oh, I'm pregnant. Maybe in a year or so I'll be ready. I mean, Johnny. What do you think?
Shit happens. And you know what? In this business, you've been around long enough, I've been around long enough, you can never, ever say forever. So I think the issues, if they really wanted to make this a good storyline, is it's Rick's baby.
I think that's a great storyline.
However, to say that you're going to take away the right of any female or male to conceive and have a family, and I'm going to say this, I don't think that a lot of these were planned. It sounds to me like some of it may have just been a good night and look what happened.
It's one way to describe it.
Well, a good night and look what happened. But you know what? I don't think that you can say that I built my empire around you, and now you've gone out and done something to destroy me. That's not true.
I'm not saying it destroyed WWE. What I'm saying is it destroyed a very slim women's roster to begin with, and it's disrespectful to those that laid their body down to make them look better. As we know, wrestling is, for all the athleticism in it, there is that portion of entertainment, and it takes other people to make you look good. And for all those people that it took to make her look good, it was a waste.
But you've had it
If
happen
they
in
weren't
men's
gonna be-
wrestling.
What?
You have Brock Lesnar over the top, and what does he do? I quit, Vince. I can't take the traveling, and walks out. Wait a minute. If you're going to make an argument,
I'm going to make an argument,
but
right
at least
now.
make it.
You're not 100% wrong with what you just said. But did Brock Lesnar do business and do a job on the way out?
Yeah.
Well, that's all I'm saying.
So what you want somebody to do is do the job and close the line.
I think
Then you know who that's up to? That's up to the boss, not Sasha Banks, Vince.
I think it's wonderful that they're going to have kids. I think it'll enhance their lives in ways that maybe professional wrestling can't. I just think due to the nature of how this industry works, where there are other people sacrificing, making themselves look good to make you look good, you have enough respect for the company and your peers to say, you know what, I want to go start a family. What's the best way to eliminate my character from the canvas for a year or however long it might be?
Now, Lacey Evans' boyfriend is...
I don't. The man has no involvement, not Becky Lynch, but this individual has nothing to do with wrestling.
Right,
as far
that's
as
what I
know.
thought.
And you want to know what I just think is stupid about it, Johnny? Is just earlier this year you had Evans and Banks fighting with Lacey Evans' daughter at ringside and the husband sitting next to her. And now she's riding Space Mountain. I mean, it's just those small things sometimes. I don't think there are too many fans that have been watching the product for more than a year that would have forgot that.
Well, all I can say is this, that...
Are they trying to say that Lacey's loose and not a lady?
I would hope not, because this has happened to other superstars, male and female, in terms of leaving the company the wrong way or the female getting pregnant.
But I mean, I'm
So-
just saying they presented her as the all-American mom just a few months ago on TV, and now her and Nature headed over to Disney World, Space Mountain. I think it's a great storyline. I think it would be more effective if you just didn't have it slapped in your face. Oh, here's Lacey, the all-American mom, sweet apple pie, and there's her husband sitting at ringside together. And, well, what am I supposed to believe? What am I really supposed to get into here? Which one of these stories?
Well, is it all factual? It's really the deal. She's pregnant. It's over. It's see you later. They're pulling her out. Or it's a storyline.
Well, she's with child.
Okay, so we know she's pregnant.
I don't think it's Rick's
Okay.
in reality. But I think on TV, I think it makes for
A nice storyline.
no pun intended, a fabulous storyline.
No, I agree. I agree.
But think of how long you're going to have to wait for a payoff. You've had many children. How long do you think it would take for her body to get back to the point where she could have a wrestling match?
First of all,
a year?
She shouldn't be in the ring once she knows she's pregnant. That's it.
No,
I mean,
and to WWE's credit, no, and to her, they didn't risk that. She didn't even tag into that match.
Shouldn't.
But I mean, how long do you think after she
at least a year.
gives birth
2 years.
could she be ready to go in a
year
ring?
or two. Year or two.
So,
I
I mean, do you turn her into a valet? Do you turn her into, I mean, and I hate to say it, but Rick's health hasn't been great. You don't know how long. I mean, are they going to turn Rick?
He looks pretty rough.
Are they going to turn, well, I know he is about 15 years older than you, though, Johnny, but do you turn Rick into a man whore? Does he go after someone new now to recruit to face Charlotte now that they've split up? I don't know what other route you go.
Maybe what they're going to do here is that Lacey isn't the only one that Rick took to Space Mountain.
No, see, that's something I would get a big kick out of.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's the way you got to flip it. So she's saying, Dad, you did this one. Oh, my God, I can't believe it. Woo! She's not the only one. And then you got this new individual who's now playing the same role. And I would say this to you. I don't think Charlotte Flair is the best on the roster. She's not the creme
I
de
think
la creme.
Asuka's the best wrestler.
Thank
female
you.
wrestler on the
So,
roster.
you know what? Charlotte Flair certainly adds a lot to it. But there again, maybe she's got a different attitude in terms of her career. So all I'm going to say to you is this. We have to make individual decisions as performers, as people who are stars involved with a billion-dollar company. You choose to decide whether you're going to have that family, risk having a family, or you take the proper steps so that at least you finish what you do before you do it.
That's
and I'm
my
not
only
arguing with
complaint.
you. I'm not arguing, but society today doesn't work that way. And you know what? I've seen no repercussions. I've seen Becky Lynch say, I'm coming back. I'll be back. Don't worry about it. The Mons hasn't left the WWE yet. Even though Rollins is shitting the bed, I'll be back. Somebody's got to help that poor guy.
I haven't missed the man, but that's just me.
No, I don't miss it at all.
If you look at some of the other scenarios that could play out, do you think maybe that Rick could be part of the reason why Asuka's screaming so much?
Never know. Could be the other one he took to Space Mountain. You never really know. And I think the way to work the storyline is Lacey's leaving, she's pregnant. But guess what, Charlotte? Ain't the only one. Wouldn't that be the curve, the swerve that nobody would expect? And you go on with this. This is going to be great. It could work out well.
What about Nia Jax? Do you think Rick could take Nia to Space Mountain? And could they both get on the ride at the same time?
I don't know, but I think you and Marty, the GPS is gone.
You know,
wow.
Could Rick be trying to produce a little Herman Munster with Shayna Baszler?
I just think that if you use that storyline, that would work. That would cover Lacey leaving.
Yeah.
It would make it more interesting, because now the next question is, the whole roster or just those two? What have you been doing, Rick, in your spare time? You know, it's like all of a sudden, Charlotte, it's over, now we can, it's just all starting all over again, kid. You're just a kid. You don't understand. You know, I think there's a lot to play there. I get nothing against what Lacey has done. God bless her. She's raising a family. And you know what?
As a human being, I think it's nice.
But
again, it's from that professional point of view.
But
all these people made that girl, I don't want to call her a girl, that woman look good. She should have the courtesy to at least finish the program.
Do the job. I understand.
At least finish the program she's in. And then, you know what? Go have as many kids as you want to if that's what's
how are you
going to
finish the
your
program
life.
now she's pregnant? There's
Well,
not a
that's
whole
what
lot
I
she
mean.
can do.
If she wanted to do this, she should have gone to them and say, you know, me and my husband really are interested in having a second kid. You know, can we maybe work this feud through Mania and then write me off the canvas for the time being?
Work
I think
the
that's
breakup
the
with
proper
Rick.
way to do it.
And there's a lot of ways out of this. Hang on.
I think Rick and Nia would be kind of an interesting.
I just think Rick with a second little girl would be a real nice swerve.
You got me thinking now, Johnny. See, they won't take our ideas because they're too good.
Well, they don't want me anyway, so it's like.
Well, once you hit the big 6-0 this summer, you know, you may be a little too old for the writing team.
Fabo will always be available to do what needs to be done.
Yeah, you love that company. I know that.
WWE
you bleed
is-
WWE. Even all the way back to the 70s when you produced some spot shows for the company, for the WWWF, which a lot of people forget. I don't. But Johnny, another departure, I guess it wound up happening earlier this winter, and it really wasn't well reported, was a man that was slated at one point to face your son at WrestleMania a couple of years ago with his unique growth issues inside of his body, Lars Sullivan.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there was a
match
guy
of matches.
on a photo. I mean, you talk about just, not to say that he's a freak, but just a freaky look where he has that same, I think it's along the lines of the same giantism issue where the parts of the body keep growing. I'm not familiar with the exact medical term, but I mean, I met him in the locker room at an NXT house show in Lowell, and television didn't do justice to just how thick the man was. I mean, his head and his shoulder, it was like a refrigerator. I'm not the tallest guy in the world, but he's someone that if he didn't run into the problems he ran into, whether it be the I guess mental illness is the best way to put it, where he had to depart the company due to anxiety a few times. And there was, you know, the Instagram, I guess he was reaching out to married women, and the gay pornography that surfaced with them in it. But and he even paid a $100,000 fine for some, I guess, racially insensitive comments that were found on Reddit about a decade ago. So it seemed like WWE was really willing to put up with a lot to try and get the guy to the dance. It's just they couldn't get the music to play at the right time with him.
No.
And that's a shame because I think he really, really had such a great look, devastating personality in the ring, really fit the role as a monster heel, and I think they lost a good one. It's unfortunate that whatever those anxiety issues may be that were holding him back, I mean, literally getting sick, unable to eat the day of events, you know, and I'm not even trying to be funny. I mean, you know, someone along the lines of Dr. David Reese to try and, I'm sure WWE did in their own way, but, you know, to try and find a way to get him to work through it.
It doesn't work. You know, the trouble is he bought a ticket to the dance but wasn't ready to dance.
You think that's it?
That's it. I think that's really it. I hope in his case they can solve the issues and at some point this young man is able to come back, but it's hard. It's hard when you have issues like that. And then, you know, I'm an advocate of, I really don't care what you did 10 years ago. I'm tired of this.
I mean,
you know, Dan Marati
publicly
said
traded
John
PC
Cena was
company.
shot fat and ugly 22 years ago. I really don't give a
Back
shit
when
about
you were in
22
your
years
30s,
ago.
yeah.
I don't really care about that. I do care about the other things that you're talking about. That just ruins the company. You can't have that on the roster.
The pornography?
Yeah, that's just not good. And, you know, I just think that that would have been a great Cena Lars match.
If
who
I
would have
remember right,
won?
it was going to be when the year they did that horrible thing with Elias. Oh.
Oh, that was terrible. With the guitar? That was horrible. That was horrible.
The
The
thing
rap
that
versus
John's
the...
part was fun, but I don't, other than the man's size, I don't see what they get in Elias. It's just such
There's
a
nothing there.
one-trick pony.
There's nothing there.
As soon as they say, when they had fans, what does WWE stand for? Walk with Elias. Done. Then the bell rings. There's nothing. Can you think of one good Elias match you've seen since?
Honky tonk ripoff. He's trying to rip off.
That's an
the-
insult to the even.
No, but I'm saying that with the
That's an
guitar.
insult to
That's all I'm
insult.
saying.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I wouldn't insult the honky tonk
Yeah.
man. If I were the honky tonk man, I'd be insulted by what I'm seeing. I mean, there's only one man that can do that, and that's me, the honky tonk man. No, that guy is no. And you know, I mean, we can go on and on about Cena. I think when he was fighting the Undertaker, when he was mixed with the crowd, I should have been there.
You should have been sitting next to him.
I should have been
That
right
would have
there.
been. That would have been fun.
It would have been awesome. But you know what? They don't like me no more. No, I'm only kidding you.
What about the? Would you have been sitting next to the woman that many on the internet believes to be Carol Cena?
Who's that?
A blonde that isn't Moniz that you've been seeing with many times at wrestling events over the years.
Oh, that's happened several
I think
times.
that's hysterical. If you Google Carol Cena,
That's-
that picture comes out.
Yeah, well, that's good. I'm glad. I'm glad it does because that tells you the fans have no brains.
Why does that make the fans have no brains?
Please, there are pictures of myself and my former spouse.
Yeah,
Well, why would you bring up the person that's...
but I just think
They think I remarried?
I think there are fans that don't realize that that's not her.
It's not her.
And
I'm
we are
single.
always
I'm
together.
out there. I'm, you know, what can I say?
She was kind of a younger lady.
Yeah.
And she looked kind of like, if you ever watched the movie The Great Outdoors, she reminded me an awful lot of the spouse of John Candy, if you've ever seen that film.
I have.
And I take that as a compliment. She's a lovely lady.
Well,
now you've gone lovelier.
Thank you. All
With
I
the
can
big
say,
M.
All I,
I'm not gonna
Moniz.
say which one,
Well,
though.
Moniz.
Well, there's another M, too.
Moniz. Moniz, come down, cut your... No, anyway.
I wouldn't want to make, as nice as Moniz is, I wouldn't want to make her mad.
Don't. Not from
If
Brooklyn.
she's got that Brooklyn blood in her veins,
She does.
you know what, I could wind up in pieces out on the loading dock.
Both of us. Both of us. But I think that would have been a great deal with The Undertaker. Me there. But
Would you
know
have
what?
taken a bump for The Undertaker?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No question about it. But anyway, let's go back to what you want to talk about.
Well, as we continue on with some things in the world of WWE right now, we had the big Royal Rumble return of Carlito, who didn't look like $1 million. He looked like $1,000,001, in my opinion. They put him on Raw the next night in a tag team match. It was him and Jeff Hardy against, I think it might have been actually Elias and his little partner in crime, Jackson Riker, who's back from vacation after his little kind of political social media outburst that was right-winged earlier in the spring. That's a different story for a different time. But I'll say this, Johnny, when I saw on the man's first televised match on TV in 10 years, him hitting his finish so he can tag in Jeff Hardy to get the pin, I didn't have high hopes, and now Carlito has not been seen on a WWE television show since. Do you, what I believe was just a 3-week tryout to begin with, what do you think we've seen the end of Carlito already?
I think Carlito was a valuable resource. If they don't take this young man and at least use him in some capacity, production, working with these kids, or putting him back in the ring. I know that his one thing was to retire from WWE. When he was done, just leave WWE in good terms. The first time he left was not on the best of terms.
No, not at all.
Not at all.
It worked out for us because we got a great talent to use on our live events.
I hope that we see more of Carlito. I'm kind of leaning and saying, you haven't seen him, I don't think you're going to see him.
And that's a shame because, and I look at it twofold. I look at it from the human in me. I think he is a character that would add something to the show. He's got great personality. Again, if his body was in that kind of condition during his first run,
unbelievable, wasn't it?
when he kind of gave up, when he realized they weren't going to do anything with him,
Yeah.
he might have had a longer run the first go around. From the, I guess maybe the professional side of Dan Marati, I look at it like this. I'd love to have him on our live events once we have them again, especially looking the way he does now. He's in megabucks condition. And you would never guess how old he is.
No, he's a great
He's
person.
like Shelton and Bobby Lashley. He doesn't age.
Nope. Another couple of great guys.
At least they're getting their just due right now.
Yes, they are.
Bobby's in for some big things headed into WrestleMania. At least Shelton's been taken out of catering, and they've given him the tag team titles. When you have one of the elite athletes to ever compete in a WWE ring, and they have him watching the show on a television monitor most weeks. The Hurt Business, say what you will, I'm not the world's biggest MVP fan, but it took some guys that, maybe they have been miscast, misused, or not used at all, and it have given them a very significant role on the show. I think for what can be knocked about WWE Creative, I think the Hurt Business faction right now is one of the better parts of the show. The only thing I don't understand is they recently added Cedric Alexander from the cruiserweight side of things, and they're already hinting that Cedric is going to turn on them. If that's the case, why would you have a heel turn on a heel faction and do it after just a few weeks after joining them? But they didn't call and ask my opinion, believe it or not.
Well, they didn't call me either, so
I don't know
we'll
about
just
that.
check that one off.
I don't know about
They
that.
didn't call?
No. But I hope Carlito should be on a national wrestling television program.
I'm surprised.
And his cousins are excellent too. Eddie and what do they go by in WWE?
Primo and
Epico is
right.
what they went by in WWE,
Yeah.
right? I mean, that's a faction right there. Think of what they could have done with New Day. Or if they brought the cousins back too, something with the Hurt Business. Or Lucha House Party if they kept them as a trio. A lot of different creative routes they could have gone with that. But again, it feels like a great opportunity that got flushed down the toilet.
Well, maybe Johnny Khan will pick up Carlito.
He owns the name. That's another thing that works to his advantage, as opposed to someone like, as we've mentioned on the AEW show, we talked a little bit about the Luke Harper, Brody Lee situation. He couldn't be Luke Harper because that was a WWE creation. Carlito, that's kind of his born name with the Spanish nickname. I think it means Little Carlos.
He owns it.
Yeah.
Yep, he owns
So they Primo and Epico, I don't think could be used. I think those were WWE creations. But just a real shame if WWE lets that opportunity go to waste.
Maybe they got nothing for him. The trouble is,
how does a company that repeats the same boring matches, the same boring interviews over and over and over again, not be able to come up with something good for someone with some talent?
Well, that's what I was going to say. The problem we have right now is they bring him out. They've used him 3 times now. Now you sit back in the room and you go, what else do we have for him? Where are we going to put him? Instead of sitting back going, wait a minute, there's scenario A, B, and C. We can use this guy in any of these 3 scenarios. I don't see that. They just give up.
I think if that's the case, you need new writers. If you can't come up with something for a talent like Carlito to be part of your weekly show that has just been devastated with the amount of departures that it's had, to keep it feeling fresh and original each week, instead of it feeling like just, especially with the women, where there's only maybe 8 to 10 of them, where it feels like just the same match week after week after week, almost like you're watching a rerun.
I could see Carlito against Roman Reigns.
Yeah. And there's history there between the Anoa'is and the Colognes.
That'd be a good setup.
Yeah.
Good setup.
Especially once Jimmy Uso comes back. Again, you have another trio. the Anoa'i trio, and you'd have the Cologne trio.
Well, let's see what happens, as Paul
Let's see
Harvey
what
would
happens.
say.
Paul
see if we
who?
get Harvey on the radio.
Oh.
You're too young to remember him. Now we'll see what happens with the rest of the story.
All right, Johnny. Also coming up at the end of the 90-day no-compete clause is the lovely, well-spoken Zelina Vega, who I liked an awful lot in her managerial role with Andrade and Angel Gaza. Andrade is going to be on the side of Milk Carton soon. He's missing in action right now. I don't know, usually look at the situation with Becky Lynch and Lacey Evans. The female is the one that goes missing. I don't know if I'm not trying to say Andrade's pregnant, but there is a guy I could look at as another one of the top.
Whoa! Okay.
I know his English is not 100%, but he had Zelina Vega doing the talking for him. I would have been grooming that man as one of the top heels for one of the two brands. Angel Gaza they brought in. He's got the next generation Eddie Guerrero written all over him. He's snarky, he's charismatic, he looks kind of like a sleazy little ass ripping his pants off, and flowers for the women and things like that. And again, ever since that trio was broken up, they've got nothing for the man. He was used as an enhancement talent over Damian Priest, which I'm certainly not trying to advocate that Damian Priest as a newcomer should be losing, but they should have other guys on the roster to take that pinfall. I think Angel Gaza just oozes heel charisma. I would want him around for a long time, and I'd try and protect him in the booking instead of having him jobbing. And then you look at someone like Sheamus, who they continue to shove down people's throats, and nothing against the guy, but Sheamus has been there now 10, 11, 12 years. He's been there, he's done that. There's nothing that feels new or original about seeing Sheamus.
Because they have nothing new for him. He's fought everybody there is.
Scally cap.
He's fought everybody there is to fight. I don't know. I don't disagree with what you said. I think you're right on the money with those people. But it's a strange business. It's a strange business, and one day you're on top, the next day you could be sweeping the floor.
Well, Zelina Vega, she took to social media and used the U word, which didn't go over very well. And much like Andrade Almas, her husband, Aleister Black, has also been on the missing persons list for quite a while.
Goodbye,
Aleister, he's waiting for someone. He always says, come and knock at the door when you're ready to fight. I guess no one's ready to fight because we're not even seeing inside the door anymore.
Nothing.
And there is a guy that I thought, he to me is deceptively tall on TV because he's not that big in person. But I think a gimmick that people genuinely liked when he was coming up, with that little dark music, and he'd pop up out of the casket and come to the ring. And I'm not trying to say he was the next Undertaker.
Rip off.
He was someone that the fans really liked. And in a day and age when they have a difficult time sometimes getting new talent like that over, why flush it down the toilet?
Maybe a situation where they sat back and said, this is a ripoff of The Undertaker. There's only one Undertaker. We can't create a second Fiend. But why don't you rewrite the story so you can create that talent in a different way?
You think maybe he just needs a fresh coat of paint?
Yeah, that's all.
Fair enough.
I think they missed the boat in a lot of these people, just as you're saying.
Do you think that the lovely, lovely Zelina will wind up in another major league promotion that will accept her using social media, Twitch and Cameo and things like that? Can you believe it's got to this? Trying to dictate to the talent what they do on their own time. It's unbelievable to me.
I cannot believe what I see and what I hear. You do have a life of your own, unfortunately. And I don't think that the WWE, AEW, Impact, I don't care who it is, New Japan Pro, I don't think that they realize this. Once you come under my roof, it's my rules. Your life is mine. And as long as I pay the bill, you do as I tell you to do. So you will not do this on social media. You will not use these types of words. You will not reach out this way. Those are the rules. Are you willing to play? I certainly hope somebody picks her up. Talent was good. She was good. She really did a lot. And she proved what you and I, especially myself, have been saying for ages, The managers need to come back because you got a guy that could perform but couldn't speak. So now what you got is somebody that can do it. Brock Lesnar, perfect example. Paul Heyman, look at Roman Reigns. Don't give him the stick. Let him go in and beat the shit out of everybody. Let Paul Heyman do what he does best. It's perfect. So let's see what happens down the road.
Did you see the end of Elimination Chamber on the SmackDown side, how we just decimated Daniel Bryan?
Took him right out.
Oh, wasn't that a great spot, though?
Yep, it was done right.
And he was used as a heel. Instead of saying, well, we'll do the match later on. No. As soon as that chamber started to come up, Roman's music hit, came in, kicked the shit out of him, and it was over.
Done.
And then you set up another hot angle with Edge, but we're going to talk more about that as we get closer to WrestleMania.
Sounds good.
I lost my train of thought there. I did want to ask you, Johnny, I don't believe you have seen it, but your thoughts on the new NBC hit series, Young Rock.
I have not seen it.
Kind of a fictitious or rewritten history of the young life of Dwayne Johnson.
It's endorsed by Dwayne Johnson. He's on all the commercials. Yeah, but it's endorsed by Dwayne Johnson. Is it his production company? Is it his production company? Answer, done. That's it. There's your answer.
Well, they took some unique, I guess, Hollywood creative liberties with it, as far as certain people being in certain places at certain times that just don't add up to any longtime wrestling fans. But I think it's aimed more towards kids and families and things like that. But to hear terms like working the gimmick on a sitcom, I thought that was kind of funny. Now, I'll ask you this. If there was ever to say, let's just say a few years from now, a young Cena to be produced, who would you like to see be you in young Cena?
Me?
Yeah.
A show on me?
No, about your son.
They've already done it.
No, if they were to do, a weekly
sitcom?
series, yeah.
First of all, I don't think that would ever happen. I don't think John would do it. I don't know. I can't speak for my son. I never speak for my son. As I told you before, he has his own life. I have mine. We very rarely talk business. That's something that we both agreed on. I think it's great. I don't know what I would say. Who would play a young John Cena?
No. Who would play John Cena Sr. in the show?
John Cena Sr. I did to check.
You wouldn't let anyone do it other than you. But let's just say they went retro like they did with The Rock when they had a 10-year-old version of him. Obviously, they have to do a little bit of something with the moss and color it up a little bit, or they'd need a different actor to do it. You know who I think would have been good as John Cena Sr.?
Who's that?
Adam West.
You are really on drugs. Man, I don't know what you and Janetti did. What did you and Janetti do?
Adam West would have been a good John if he was with us still?
Do you want me to tell you? Let's put it this way.
All right.
I've been around Hollywood a little bit, see what they can do with makeup and stuff. They can make you look 150 years old. I mean, you look okay now, but they could do 150. They could certainly make Fabo look like he used to look with the sideburns when he was a kid. You know what? Me.
Not Adam West.
Not Adam West.
You couldn't throw a punch and then have Pow come up on the screen.
You know what? I guess the show's a hit, and kudos to Dwayne Johnson, and I mean that sincerely, for coming up with the idea, for producing it, and bringing that out to life. Kudos.
I just wish it was based more in reality than...
But see, that's not what happens when you try to make things bigger than life. And when you do that, you either do it for one or two things. You either do that because you want people to see how you came from nothing and became something, or you need to fill the room. And it's not with money. You need to create that, it's me. I don't know Dwayne Johnson well enough to comment one way.
You did work a big angle with him at the Garden once that outdrew John Taff's bar rescue that week when you two were having a little tiff.
I'm sure that
The Rock, a monster rating, if I recall.
The Rock doesn't even know who I am.
That night
I'm sure.
That night he was a little confused, but he figured it out.
Oh, backstage?
He put the pieces of the puzzle together.
I'm sure, and he still said he's still a fucking jerk. So you know what? Again, tremendous person. He's done a lot to show people that you can. Hard work, just like Cena, never give up, never quit. You can be successful. And I think that says a lot for The Rock. And I mean, I have nothing to take away. I don't know him. I'm sure he doesn't know me. But
Other than that main event segment that you had on Raw with him a few years ago.
it was never live on TV.
What?
I never did a thing on Rock with The Rock on TV.
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't.
It was, what was it called? This Is Your Life.
John Cena. This Is Your Life, John Cena.
Right.
I never did anything on camera with The Rock.
Well, he came out to the ring at a different time.
But I never had there was nothing written for Dwayne Johnson and John Cena Sr.
But you were all part of the same segment.
But not in the ring.
Not in the right. He
No.
came out afterwards.
Right,
I think
because
you would have taken a
he-
hell of a rock bottom.
Well, my suggestion was that it should have been, well, truly, it shouldn't have been Mick Foley. It should have been me, because the deal was Cena versus The Rock, and all the remarks he's making about his mother and everybody else, what better person to take out than the old man? Because that would have given him a lot of leverage, making up all his little rhymes and stuff. So I think it would have meant a lot more to the segment had I taken the rock bottom, and I'm not, please, taking away anything from what they decided to do, but I think it would have been a lot more and been more significant.
Well, you get a hell of a reaction. You got a hell of a reaction that night in Boston.
I did. I was very.
I don't think,
was
I know I wasn't expecting it. I was in hysterics, thanks to our good friends at WWE that provided us with a few seats for the show, and I was not expecting it, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. Anytime you get involved and I don't see it coming, I get a tremendous enjoyment out of it. I don't know why.
I don't think WWE is looking to bring me back anytime soon.
Well, you never know. Anything can happen in the World Wrestling Federation.
But I know Big Show, when I went back, said to me, "I've never laughed so hard in my whole life." I said, "That's great. It was fun. I enjoyed it. I enjoy working with WWE. I'd be glad to do anything, anytime."
It looks like his show has come to an end on Netflix.
It's done. It's over. It's been
Now,
canceled.
did you watch it?
I watched a
I
couple
know
of
you're
episodes.
kind of a Netflix guy.
I don't watch a whole lot of TV. I'm more into the documentaries, more into Discovery X. I really like that program. Discovery, the History Channel, PBS. I like that. I do like a lot of cooking shows. I do a lot of cooking.
You want to create cooking
We're going to
shows.
create a cooking show. I'd like to do that. If the
I
fans
did,
want.
I did mention it to Mr. USA, who was very interested.
We'll do it. We'll do it. We'll
I
come down.
think I know which kitchen of the two I would prefer to tape it in, but
Right here. We're going to do the
We'll do
kitchen.
it here.
Right here.
well, we're going to need an awful lot of equipment.
We'll do induction hot plates, the whole bit. We can do the whole thing. Yeah, it's enjoyable.
It's going to be an interesting 2021, Johnny, especially if we can get back to having those live wrestling events, because we got some great stuff.
I would think by July, I think we'll be a quarter of the way, if not a halfway there. I don't expect you're going to see a large crowd at WrestleMania. They just will not allow that. You're really risking a lot of people. So my whole thing is, a WrestleMania, there'll be a crowd, but I don't think you're going to see what you saw from all over the world. There'll be all kinds of
It'll be
restrictions.
just how hard it would be for those people to even travel into the country.
They will let them in.
I know Bushwhacker Butch, he was going to be coming in for 2 weeks to do, again, a couple of months' worth of appearances all over the country with Bushwhacker Butch. But the problem is, once he goes back, you have to pay to quarantine in New Zealand at a hotel for anywhere from 15 to 30 days, depending upon, that adds up cost-wise
He's
and
a great
time-wise.
guy. I like him. He's a great guy.
Luke or Butch? Luke is the one that's from Florida.
Right. The other
Luke.
fellow is on crutches.
Butch, yeah. He's out in New Zealand right now.
Yes, they're both good. Both great human beings.
And have not seen Butch since, well, he was in the United States for the Hall of Fame
That's when I
ceremony.
saw him.
But other than that,
I haven't seen
he
him.
moved in 2002 after he took ill. I think I've told you before, we ran a live event fundraiser for him, and he took the money that we raised, and instead of taking care of bills or whatever, he went out and bought a computer where he could do customer service work over the telephone from his home. So he was able to generate an income out of the money that we raised. And you know what? Those are the types of things that makes me feel good about doing these crazy things we put ourselves into. You know, we've ran into some odd, frustrating situations over the past 19 plus years, but I look at that as one of the great stories because a lot of good came out of it. We helped a man that almost died, that was a legend in this business. And again, not only did we help, pay the rent for the month, so to speak, he went out and he was able to have a little job until he went home to live with his kids in New Zealand.
God bless him.
All right, well, wrestling fans are running out of time now. What did you think of tonight's episode? If you're watching during the 10 p.m. premiere after SmackDown, the premiere box is live. We're chatting away. I want to see what all of our great friends think, whether it's Don the Barber, Slick Rick, Maria, Tina, Vaughn, all of our other great friends, Kevin, Petriantozzi, all the other Kevins that we have with us. We got a growing group to try and catch all of the shows each week. And again, remember, if you can't, there's always the Saturday Night Weekend Review show at 10 p.m., which has every episode from the entire week and one-stop shopping. But, we like it when you're with us live. We want to know what you think. What do you think about John Cena Sr. returning Sunday, March 21st for the Fastlane pay-per-view? He says absolutely not. He said he'd rather go out to L.A. for a weekend and really have a Discovery X.
Be there, right there.
We have a lot to look forward to on the road to WrestleMania, folks. Again, the eBay store is open 24/7, and our acclaimed Patreon streaming service, where you get early ad-free access to all of our in-studio weekly shoot interview shows. You get access to our acclaimed Studio Shoot Interview DVD library that this guy co-hosted several of. It's been seen by millions online, millions more on The Howard Stern Show. You get exclusive Patreon access you don't get anywhere else. And most important to me, you help keep the wrestling legends working now, especially that we've reached about 1 year with almost no independent shows, almost no autograph signings, almost no conventions. That's how people that aren't under contract to WWE and AEW make a living. They may have other jobs as well, but when it comes to this vocation, they need those things to come back to life. Using this studio as a platform to help them live, that really means a lot to me. I know it means a lot to this guy. I know it means a lot to the superstars in questions. I know we laugh and joke and try and have a good time, but to me it's a very important, serious thing. I want to be able to generate as much revenue as we can to have as many guys in here as we can. So, for the fabulous one himself, Mr. John Cena Sr., hopefully you say hello to Margot for me.
Margot, your way, you go your way.
I'm Dan Marati. We'll see you next Friday after SmackDown. Until we speak again, you and yours, be well, stay healthy. Good night.
The World Wrestling Federation was live at the Cow Palace in San Francisco, California, Saturday, March the 5th, 1988. In the opening contest, Brady Boone beat Johnny V. Bad News Brown with the win over Scott Casey. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat battled Ravishing Rick Rude to a time-limit draw. WWF Women's Champion Sensational Sherry retained the title over Rockin' Robin. The Bolsheviks defeated the Young Stallions. Cowboy Lang and Chris Doobie victorious over Little Tokyo and Lord Littlebrook. Coco Beware beat Hercules via disqualification. And in the main event, Hulk Hogan and Hacksaw Jim Duggan with the win over Million Dollar Man Ted DiBiase and Virgil with Andre the Giant in their corner. If you were in San Francisco live, share your memories in the comment section below. Use the links in the description box to keep Wrestling Legends working in our eBay store and on our acclaimed Patreon streaming service so we can bring you more interactive superstar shoot interviews to relive the good old days of professional wrestling. Check it out. Boston Wrestling Sports in the MWF explodes into a new year with professional wrestling content galore and need you to join our family. Every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. after our Monday Night Raw review, it's Wrestling Insiders at your house with WWE Hall of Famer Mr. USA Tony Atlas. Wednesday nights at 10 p.m. after NXT and AEW, join rotating legends on Wrestling Insiders Special Edition. Every Thursday night at 10 p.m. after our NXT and Dynamite review, it's Marty Jannetty's No Holds Barred Sex, Drugs, and Rock and Roll journey on Wrestling Insiders Party with Marty. Friday night after SmackDown, don't miss John Cena Sr.'s Wrestling Insiders Fabulous Fridays. Plus, look for classic clips, history videos, bonus live episodes, pay-per-view watch-alongs, and more. For less than a cup of coffee at Starbucks, get early ad-free access to our Wrestling Insider talk shows, our acclaimed Studio Shoot Interview DVD library, and help keep wrestling legends working during the worst of times. Join our growing family at patreon.com/Boston Wrestling. Expect the unexpected in 2021.